we are. We're introducing a book I'm really proud about. It's the Spiritual Exercises of Daniel Cramer. So let me show you that real quick here. So that is the cover that I originally intended to have for the book, but I chose a different cover instead, the one that's on Amazon, and you can go and check that out. It's available. I'll post a link in the description. I'm pretty proud about this. Me and some friends had thought about doing this project a long time ago, so I dedicate this to them. They're unknowns, but I know who they are, and if you know who they are, you know who I'm referencing. But we thought that all of the images of Cramer would be a lot more valuable to everybody if they were able to view them in the light that they were originally casted in. Now, I know that sounds like it's a slam project, but it's not. What happened was Cramer's images were also included in a book that was called The Rosicrucian Emblems of Daniel Cramer. Now, these had 40 of the images that came from the manuscript which I used, which was Emblematum Sacrorum, and that was not the book that was used to make the Rosicrucian Emblems of Daniel Cramer, which, you know, it's still good. I'm not going to badmouth it, but this will probably replace that book, unfortunately. But in this volume, you'll see at the index portion of the book, which is at the end, I have made an appendix which allows you to see all of these heart-based emblems. And so the heart-based emblems are available for you to see on page 205, I think it is, or 203. So in 203, the appendix is a list of all the heart icons of the Daniel Cramer series. So there's way more than 40 of them, which is why I wanted to redo the book. Originally, I used, just like everybody else used, the Rosicrucian Emblems of Daniel Cramer, translated by Fiona Tite, and introduction and commentary by Adam McLean. And thank you, Adam, for this work. I found when going through the Emblematum Sacrorum in Latin, that there were more than 40. So here, I'll show you this. And you can see all of the pages in the book, the one you can buy on Amazon, with the heart emblems. These are the exact same heart emblems that you'll find in the Rosicrucian Emblems of Daniel Cramer by McLean. However, what I've done is, so let's go to Malesko, number 2. You'll see after the introduction in the table of contents, we have Malesko. So this is the same image that was included in his version. But what I did is, instead of only having the Judeo-Christian scripture as it was in the book and in Emblematum, I have included world scripture references. So now you'll see that this has been cross-referenced not only with Jeremiah, which was the only original text that was referenced, but now we have the Gospel of Thomas, we have the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Tao Te Ching, the Corpus Hermeticum, and a blurb about Ignatian spirituality. And that's on every one of the images, every one of the 100. So the heart-centered images, you can go through them in the appendix and experience them from this area. Now, I wanted to keep my comments brief, but that just introduces the book. What I'm really excited about, however, is something else I'm working on, and that is cross-referencing these images to tarot trumps and tarot cards and motifs of alchemy and everything. Now, that I didn't write in the book because it's so speculative, it can really easily be ripped apart, and I didn't want anybody to be led astray by my own individual work with the Cramer emblems. So that won't be in this book. You won't see any of that. But you can come back here for those kind of conversations for sure. And you don't have to read it in a book and disagree with it or anything. It's just the way that I see and have analyzed the emblems. So one of them is the Fool. Now, the Fool, it's connected to concepts of Revivo and Liberor. So those are two emblems. Those are two heart-centered emblems that are in this list. We can see through the Cramer book. If we go back to that appendix, sorry to scroll in front of you, but if we go to that appendix, we see Liberor here and Visco, not Revivo. It does mean I revive, so that's the point that I was trying to make, is that you're through the Fool experience, there's a revival of something. This was one of my favorite images and what I was going to use for the cover of the book, but I didn't want it to be too skull and crossbones, rock on, because I didn't want anybody to feel put off by the cover. So I used the heart and the alembic, which you'll see on Amazon. So the Revisco, here I'll show you this one. That's the heart and the alembic, which I used for the spiritual exercises of Daniel Cramer. The Revisco is to revive yourself from the way that the world has kind of put standards on you. It's I come to life again. We're oftentimes, in the words of initiatic societies, it's called to be reborn. So there's a transmutative formation that happens in us when we practice actual spiritual practices, spiritually integrative practices. So Revivisco is the way of being reborn, or I revive or come to life again in Latin. It can be seen as a powerful concept of spiritual renewal that transcends the boundaries of conventional thinking and societal constraints. So who and how are we doing this, actual thing? It's come to be that we call the Fool somebody who does this. And nobody wants to be foolish. Everybody wants to be wise. But to become wise, you have to be somewhat foolish, in the sense that, the Yeshua said, be in the world, not of the world. So this Revivo that we're looking at right now, I'll go to that emblem again. But that is the way individual is going to differentiate themselves out of the herd. It's not just a personal awakening, but a transformative experience that leads to a profound shift in consciousness and perception. So this is akin to the rebirth, like I was saying, and you're shedding old layers of beliefs, habits, and ego-driven behaviors that no longer serve one's higher purpose. So when the Holy Fool comes up, this is something that can be referenced, because these two concepts, Liberor and Revivisco, sounds like Nabisco, but it's not. These are what the Fool is trying to express out of their heart. So we can go more to the image-based gnosis, but I just wanted to get into that to show that there's a very deep and profound meaning behind all of these emblems. They can all be used for spiritual transformation. And what I noticed as I made the book is that a lot of them do not tell you that it's putting you through a special process of or modality of actual contemplation on what the heart is, the leb of the Kabbalists. But you see here, the heart is sitting on the face and the skull, and it's another way of saying revivisco is I live. I was reborn, but now I'm alive, and you're alive, though the heart has been exalted above the thanatological forces. Now, we're not going to get into that because a lot of times the heart has to go through a thanatological process in order to get to its life, which we just saw. The thanatological skull has to be opened up in order for the heart to be revealed. And this is somewhat analogous to the journey between the head and the heart that they talk about, the mind-heart connection. For the heart to really be alive, we have to go through this process of looking at concepts and letting them die to the life that is non-conceptual. But it's really challenging to talk like this. So the Vivo says from the Gospel of Thomas 51, and do not kill the soul which Allah has forbidden except by right. So you aren't allowed to kill the soul. You cannot. It's basically a thou shalt not kill the soul. You're not allowed to. The self-controlled soul, says the Gita, who moves among sense objects free from either attachment or repulsion, wins eternal peace. So we're looking at what it's like to be in a state of non-attachment, but also not repulsed. So it's kind of looking at the libidinal force that is constantly pushing us along and saying, yes to this and no to that. And usually it looks like a death according to a culture's standards, but it's not dead. It's really being alive. The Ignatian relation is living fully in alignment with God's will is a key goal in Ignatian spirituality, reflecting the vitality of spiritual life. So I pulled multiple multiple quotes to show that this isn't like an eisegesis of me telling everybody to live in a very morose, messed up way. What it is it's an exegesis of world spirituality showing that all spiritual communities pretty much see things this way. So if you're going to be spiritual, you're going to have to contend with the seven-headed hydra. You're going to have to realize, and that's what this means. It means the heart in the center of the seven-headed hydra. But you're going to have to contend with the reality that this life isn't made for the heart. And that's what all these emblems eventually start showing us through a profound realization of the concepts that are in it, and also through the meditative spirituality that you're going to receive while reading it. So I just wanted to show my friends in the Gnostic Tarot world some of these correlations to the Fool that you might not be seeing because, in some traditions they say the Fool gets everything in the world that they ever wanted. And, that might be the case with some personality types, but for the most part, this is a spiritual journey. It's not a temporal and materialistic journey. So I just wanted to show the book. I'm really excited to finally have this come to fruition. Like I said, it was an idea in 2020, 2019 with some friends, and we were all like, it would be really awesome to see a colored version. I was able to reproduce it now through Kim Publishing, and now everyone can benefit from this volume and the spiritual contemplative modality that it puts you into. So we'll be talking more about it, through the years, but I just wanted to present that and make sure you find the link in the description. And thanks for coming by.